Bonjour à tous. Tout d'abord, merci beaucoup pour avoir la possibilité.
Good afternoon. I'm very happy to have a chance to talk to you this afternoon and share with you what we do for a living and something to improve buildings, towns, and the way we live in those towns. I'm going to tell you about real estate, building, and innovation. Maybe not the words you would like to use together, which wouldn't surprise me because there are three obstacles to innovation. First of all, the fact that we work on long cycles. If you invest in real estate, you want your building or your house to be durable, and also between the design and the delivery of the building it takes 3 years. So if you're talking about a whole district, it takes between 5 and 10 years for a settlement. Finally, the last obstacle shown here by the workers above Manhattan is the fact that there are many different players in this line of business. A few big companies, but also many independent workers who are the largest number of players in our line of business. In large companies and small companies alike, if there is a new idea or a new rule, disseminating it to the whole industry takes a lot of time. And we have so many rules and standards and laws in our line of business. It means good things in terms of quality, but it also slows us down because every time we want to do something, we have to check if there is a legal framework, if it's foreseen in the rules and legislations. And I'd like to show you the cloud of words that I made on the right-hand side of the slide here, because it materializes the expectations of communities, but also our customers. Here the words are man-oriented, man-needs-oriented, and the way buildings are going to be used. And this is mainly the driver of innovation. I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you an anecdote. The story of positive energy. Positive energy, once upon a time, there was a meeting called Grenelle de l'Environnement in 2007. I suppose that most of you know what I'm referring to and have kept abreast of what happened then. And there were endless discussions regarding how far can building performances go. Positive energy buildings which, at the end of the year, produce more energy from renewable sources than anything else. Was that utopia, or was it something feasible? Well, we have had the only reply coming from a company. We said, well, let's try. We'll see what happens. 2007, 4 years to deliver a building. So 2011, this is the building. The building was sold to a company called SCORE, a reinsurance company, and the building is now occupied by an IT company and has been in use ever since 2011. So some photovoltaic panels, but much more than that. There's more to it than meets the eyes. Because if you look at the curve, you see the decrease in energy consumption, the performance of the buildings over time. On the left-hand side, you have the average of existing buildings. An average French building will consume 350 kilowatt hours per year. And then you have the objectives given by the various rules in 2005, 2012. In 2020, there should be the new rule, responsible buildings. And you see some green color at the bottom. The green color means that the building is actually producing energy rather than consuming it. Well, on the far right, you have the building, the green office in Meudon. And it's fascinating because the green column means that the building has produced energy, and it has even produced more energy than it consumes. If the building can produce more energy than it consumes, the question is no longer, can we build this type of building? Do we produce enough energy to heat up this kind of building? Every time we add a building like this one, we actually improve the local energetic equation. It's fascinating. It's absolutely unbelievable. Some of you, most of you, are familiar with what Jeremy Rifkin wrote, and I have met Jeremy Rifkin. I showed him the building, and he was flabbergasted. He was absolutely struck. He had written in the third Industrial Revolution something that he now had in front of him. He was witnessing the fact that buildings could be made that way and they could have a positive impact on energy consumption. I can imagine you'd be tempted to say, okay, it's all very well, but okay, very good energetic performance, but what about the user? So let us dwell on this matter for just a second. The user is obviously at the heart of the whole process, the whole approach. Let's try and come up with an absurd idea. If you take a building without windows, like a bunker, obviously it would be the best possible performance. You would need to heat the building, but that is impossible. So we had to improve the comfort for the dwellers or the users. And I went there last week, and I can tell you that they're very happy. Their feedback is very good. There is so much inertia that the temperature inside the building is stable. 5/10 of the building walls are made of glass, so everybody has access to direct light, and this is exceptional. Second objections you might want to make. Well, the building is more expensive to build. Yes, you're right. It's more expensive to build. It's 15% more than a conventional, the second one 8% more than a conventional building, and the more you build, the cheaper they become. But because these buildings consume very little energy, if you think in terms of rent plus expenses, you actually save money. Rent plus energy costs, the building is much more profitable than a normal building. The equation is definitely favorable. The only thing we had to work on, for the most perspicacious of you, you would have said, okay, fine, you rent it, so you get a rent, but what about energy costs? Depends on the way you use the building, it depends on the weather, and are we sure that there will be no energy costs? So we created a new type of activity. We set up a subsidiary between Schneider and the Bouygues Immobilier, which is customer or user-oriented and guarantees the economic equation for the whole duration of the rent. So if the building is rented for 9 years, then we commit ourselves for 9 years that there will be no energy costs. I happen to be the CEO of this subsidiary, and I can tell you that we're changing the whole economic model. We're not only changing the model, but also I got the feeling that there was added value when we created the company. So I left my job as the innovation manager at Bouygues Immobilier, and I became the CEO of this new subsidiary. And this is entrepreneurship, changing the company from the inside. This, if we want to change the model of large companies, is fundamental. We allow people to actually create, we allow people working in a company to create a company within the company, if a new concept deserves to be developed. The Schneider Electric plus Bouygues Immobilier, I'm absolutely certain that rather than trying to find value within the line of business of individual companies, sometimes we need to cross our lines of business and find the El Dorado. When an energy expert comes together with a real estate or building expert like Bouygues Immobilier, then they find the recipe. And I encourage you to turn to other companies and other lines of business to find how to find the real solution together. There are 15 such buildings being built. Only for offices? No, we're also building houses. We're making a housing settlement with shops and offices and flats. We're creating new business. What is business for real estate specialists? We have to make something new. Why would people buy a new building if they have an old one available? There is nothing like what we build, so people obviously will want to build this kind of buildings, and our competitors are all trying to copy us. So what's the next stage? Well, we have to start working on the town scale. We're working on the economic equation. Here we have Paris with the ring road, and this is the southwest of Paris. 10 companies have allied themselves. I'd say they are the 10 champions in the field of smart city, energy, etc., to try and understand how a positive energy town could be built. Obviously, the people living in the houses will be the first players in the transformation. Oh, any of you know how much you pay for energy costs at home? Do you have any idea what your energy bill is? 1 hand out of 10 approximately. So you're the people who are very sensitive to this subject, and yet most of you don't even know how much you pay for your energy bill. So you all have to become aware of the real problem and the fact that the world is changing, and that's exactly what we're doing. So the first player in the grid are not the sensors or the technology. The first player are the people working in the offices or the people living in the flats. There is something beyond energy. Energy is only 8% of the carbon print of green offices. So we have to work on the raw materials, the mobility, the freight, the sharing economy, the well-being in healthcare, digital urban services. We have a potential of urban services, which is absolutely unbelievable. And then we have to bring nature back in town. And we need to do away with the divide between town and nature. Nature must be present in town. This is exactly what we're doing. This is a new notion, urban era. We're dealing with energy issues, but also all kinds of other issues, including biodiversity. We want to create a town that will make a positive contribution to the environment. So, well, let's meet in a few years' time, and rather than telling you about positive energy, I'll tell you about positive towns.